live somewhere on YouTube out there. So, so hello, Catherine. How are you?
Hi, Mitchell. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're behind the scenes talking, and I'm like focused on the show, and I'm like, okay, I've never scheduled one, so let me just do it unscheduled. So okay, now I can breathe that we're live and
Thank
going.
you for hosting us on the platform, so that we can do this live on YouTube. It's awesome.
Yay, you are welcome.
Yeah.
So if anybody is out there, let us know. But otherwise, we're going to have a conversation, and you guys are going to be kind of like flies on the wall, with the most loving flies on the wall that there can be. So Catherine, why don't you, first of all, let people know just a little bit about you and maybe tell them what we're going to do tonight, and then I'll just follow up with a little bit about me just in case.
Sure, yeah. So my name's Catharine Allen, and I'm mainly an intuitive, clairvoyant, and a medium, and I've also done astrology. I do Reiki healing, and I just wrote a book, as you helped me, called A Little Bit of Intuition. And so it's been a really exciting year, all the things that are happening because of the book, the letters that I'm getting. And tonight I invited Mitchell to do, it's a first time thing. We're calling it Tarot Talk, because it's rare that practitioners get to speak with each other and just delve in and sort of show the knowledge that we have and our perception of the cards. And we're going to compare decks, which is what I'm hoping you'll all find interesting as a teaching tool, because it's very different if you look at, the lovers in one deck to another. And most of us are seeing Rider-Waite or Rider-Waite based decks. So I think it would just open up amazing discussion, and we'll see where it takes us.
We hope, and we intend, and we plan for it to open up.
Yeah.
And Catherine, you probably can't see, but like right below you in this beautiful kind of lavender, I have your website, river-rain.com. And under my name or under my picture, you can see mitchellosborn.com. That's where you can find me. I have a full-time career in fitness. I teach group exercise. I was a personal trainer, but now I do managing. So that's my full-time job. But usually nights and weekends, I am doing this psychic medium work. I am a tarot reader, which is my heart with all this work. Animal communicator, which is my second heart. And then I also do mindfulness coaching, which sometimes mindfulness for me is like has become the gateway in. I usually have a session with someone and do mindfulness work. And then from there, we may step into hypnotherapy, which I, clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist, 500 hours of training. That was like 9 months of giving birth. EFT, which is you. Oh my God! It was a most rewarding thing and so powerful, because your group, you're hypnotizing each other for 9 months, so we're really working. And then often the mindfulness can lead to like EFT tapping, NLP, and even some eye movement therapy. So all of that kind of falls under the mindfulness component. But that's who I am. And one of my favorite things to do is to read tarot. And on my website, you can find where you can buy a spread. And in a video, I record the spread back to you so you can watch it. That's one of my favorite things, and what I do probably about 40% of my work with this. So tonight, and I have, so the deck I'm going to be working with is Ciro Marchetti's Legacy of the Divine Tarot. And yours is?
I work with the Thoth deck.
Cool.
So what I thought we would do is we'll shuffle our deck, and then we'll cut them in half. And then whatever card you draw, I will match the same card in my deck, and we'll just go for it. And then whatever card I draw, you'll match, and we'll just go for it.
Sounds good.
And we'll just see how it goes. We've never done this. Don't know how long it'll take.
Who knows?
All right. So you shuffle. You ready?
I am.
This is a brand new deck, and they're still in order, so I have to really, really shuffle.
Oh, you know what? I got to tell you, that's one of the. Let's talk tarot. When I get a brand new deck, and I start shuffling, if I'd like draw a few cards or do a reading and I get like 5 swords, I'm like, it's just like I have to shuffle and shuffle and shuffle until I know that they are completely randomized. Because and even today, this deck is extremely shuffled. I don't put them back in order. I just count them. That's how I kind of bring them back. But if I do a 5-card reading and all of a sudden 4 of the 5 cards are swords, I don't care at that point. That's when I know Spirit's working.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or even clients, a lot of the time, you'll pass them and say, okay, what's your next question? They shuffle, and they don't really shuffle, and the same cards pop up, and I'm like, okay, shuffle them again.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, no, you weren't thinking of who you were asking about. You're still thinking about your ex. Shuffle them again.
So, and I love, like so what do you call this kind of shuffling?
I don't know what to call it, but that's how I prefer, because I find when you do the blackjack style, like I say, I mean, I worked in a spiritual store and we had 9 cats. And anytime you did to clear the deck, the cats would run. And that's why I'm like, oh my God, this must be why gamblers do it, to break the luck or break the energy out of the deck.
So I put them this way.
I do that when I'm clearing, not when I'm putting energy in.
So I put them this way and shuffle them sideways so they don't get reversed. I never do them the long way like this, because but I call that rifling, and I call this shuffling. Okay. I don't do wash.
Oh no, I hate that. I hate that too. It's going to wreck your cards.
And the only reason I use those terminologies is because on the apps that I have, there is I think it's Lost Dog or something Dog or Salt Dog, or there's a company that is like one main company that a lot of the card deck providers use, and rifle, shuffle, wash.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So I use that terminology.
So, interesting. So I guess I've been trying to not disturb the cats for all these years, so I never do the rifling.
So just to let everybody know that's watching, we are not taking any questions. We're doing some tarot talk. We're going to each pull a card from our deck and then talk about the differences in those. So we are not doing readings, but you can check out our websites if you want to see more about us when we might do readings elsewhere. So are you ready to pull a card?
I am.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, or do you want?
I'll go first. I feel like it. So
okay, you go first.
So and Catherine, when you hold it up, make sure you kind of hold it like right in front of your face a little bit, just so we can see it.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Oh my God.
So I got the Devil, which is number 15. So this is the Devil, and for those of you who like a hot, lean cut, sexy devil body, there you go. Thank you, Ciro Marchetti, for this Devil.
Awesome. Okay, so here he is. Can you see him? Okay.
Back the card up a little bit from back of the card up.
Back it up
towards you a little bit more. There we go.
All right. You can still see me?
Yeah.
All right. So, because I've never looked at your cards, I'm just going to say what I see in your Devil, and maybe you can tell me what you see in mine.
Yeah.
So, like yours, yeah, he definitely, there's a big focus on him being like having a 6-pack there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of light behind him, which is interesting. Because a lot of devil cards are dark, even though he's masked, like he's still hiding something from us. All these tentacles behind the head, could be interpreted many ways, right? Like he's smart, he's strategic, is he manipulative? Is he channeling something from somewhere else? And then what is this at the bottom? He's holding something, is it on his groin?
That's an hourglass?
It's an hourglass, and someone's riding it.
And I can elaborate on a lot of the things in here once you're done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, riding on an hourglass, like, interesting. Well, I mean, it says a lot. The Devil is, in my deck, it's related to Saturn, right? Capricorn and Saturn, and you've got an hourglass. So to me, that would be referring to Saturn or time. And he's holding it so casually in a way, but he seems to have some control over it too. And he's got somebody riding on it. It's like, sort of like, it's my timing, not yours, Almost.
And I love listening to how you see this card, because I know so much more about it, like the intention, and I know how it fits in the deck. So I'm keeping my mouth shut, but I'm like, it's like every time you say something about the person riding on the hourglass, it's like, oh, I want to tell you what that's about. But I love that, and this is probably one of the reasons why you wanted to do this, so that exactly. We can look at the differences in the card.
Yeah. Well, my interest, when you do comparative tarot, is no matter how the artist represents it, there's some deeper core to the card that they're trying to play with, and we're trying to get at what that is.
Yeah.
And then what the philosophy of the designer of the deck is based on how they chose to portray it.
Yeah.
then I find you get into very philosophical kind of conversations about the tarot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting, all the light behind him, because like I said, this guy and I'm holding is so dark. So he doesn't seem as scary or as shadowy. He looks like he could also be a bit of a magician. So it's sort of, I guess I'd wonder, is he manifesting for good or not? Is he manifesting? What are his ethics of what he's manifesting?
So,
and then intuitively, it would depend on who asks me what and where my eye is drawn. I mean, if someone says, should I go back to my ex, and I see the guy riding the hourglass and I feel like that's her or him, maybe not so much. Like, there's always a control or a power dynamic for me going on in the devil.
Yeah.
And the lower self somehow, the shadow self, and how it's playing out in someone's life.
Yeah. You let me know when you want me to either talk about yours or tell you more about mine.
Yeah.
So do you want me to talk about mine first or go to yours?
Talk about yours first.
So this is kind of the Fool. So and the Fool looks just like that. So in the beginning, the Fool is floating in space. He's like kind of the Joker-looking character. Then the Fool also shows up as the Hangman again. With the hourglass once again, because the hourglass is about time standing still, because you see how it's not flowing properly.
Yeah.
So he's stuck. It's standing still now. The magician in this deck is an older gentleman, so it could be the Fool once he's reached his maturity. But the interesting thing is and it took me probably 3 years until one day I literally went, "Oh my God. The magician has 6 fingers." I never realized it because his hand's up like this, and Ciro Marchetti gave him 6 fingers. But from the very first day I pulled the magician, I knew he was in a wheelchair. Now Ciro never said he was or not, but I feel like he's in a wheelchair because he's seated at a desk. Now here's another thing: you can see dangling from the devil's hands are almost like on the strings. Those are the 4 elements, which oftentimes. Who has the 4 elements before them? The magician.
Yeah, the magician. Yep.
And then
to say hello to the reader.
Hey, so now you can see that the mask. Hey, you can see the mask is on the Fool, and he starts off with the mask on. Now the mask changes a little bit as the devil, and the World card is the Fool once again with the mask being taken off.
Very interesting.
It's a beautiful journey through. And Ciro is a master of creating light in his cards, which always blows my mind.
Yeah. No, the artwork, just the light, like it's real light.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. Oh, I love, I love it when you see how all the parallels in the deck. That really makes the whole thing so much deeper. So the Fool is riding. Yeah,
the Fool. That Fool image makes his way through the major arcana, which again, it is the Fool's journey. So it's really cool what he did. This deck is really, really beautiful. And if anybody ever gets this deck, The Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Ciro Marchetti, I implore you to get the book that comes with it. So you buy the set, and please read, if you feel led, read the story of how he came up with the images, because it solidified it. He told a story, and as I'm reading the story, I'm going, is this real or fiction? Which it's one of those things where I'm not going to doubt it, because he goes into a world and he finds these images in this other world, and each world is a suit. So he went into the world of Pentacles, and it's just gorgeous how the story solidified this for me. So I'm gonna put this down because my arm is tired.
Yeah, okay.
I was propping it up, and we're halfway through, so we might not get to 2 cards.
We might not. But have you used the Thoth ever before?
I have not.
So cool.
It doesn't resonate with me. I'm not sure why. So.
Yeah, no, well, I can tell you why once you go. I learned a lot about the designer of the deck way after I would learn to use it. So I might not have chosen it if I had learned about him.
And I'll tell you, I used to say years ago when I started reading, I used to say, I don't know what it is about Ciro's decks, but they just speak so loud and clear to me. And if you know Ciro and you follow him online, the man does not mind speaking his mind. And I remember one day about 3 years ago, I went, no wonder his card speaks so loud and clear, because he is very forthright. He does,
Yeah.
he is not afraid of, and he's not afraid of having dialogue. He's not afraid of having debate, and he's always very gracious and very kind, but he shares his opinions and he gives reasons to back it up. So he's he's a very, well-educated man, and it's like, that's why his stuff speaks to me. Plus it's crisp and clear. The images, the way
he could be a good guest. Maybe if we get momentum on this, he'll come on. So go for it with the Toth deck.
So you're going to need to move it in because I can't see the card.
Okay.
So bring it closer back to your face a little. Okay, there we go. So, and move it. Yeah, I'm losing half of it. Sorry. You're going to almost have to come. There we go. Sorry. Well, the first thing, come on, people. Anybody watching this right now, if you've never seen this card before, I'm talking 2 balls and a penis. It is literally right there, erect, facing me, looking me in the face. And I can't make out the images quite, but the one on, I think it would be the right side of the card. Looking at it, it's the left side. It looks like images of the Judgment card, like being freed from what's been holding you back. And even, actually both sides kind of look a little bit like what I would feel a judgment, the dead rising from the grave. I see I guess that's the goat straight up dead center with the horns going out. But I love how, like, it's almost like the goat is being, what is it from Star Trek where they materialize you up? What's that called?
Oh, yeah, beam me up.
Beam me up, Scotty. It literally looks like the goat is being beamed up or beamed down, which, again, it makes me feel like, because that would be a scary thing for a lot of people who've never experienced beamed up or beamed down. But it also makes me feel very much like, the transportation, being able to move. I'm trying to look, there looks like there might be some sacred geometry or something in the background, which again, this card is so complex.
Yes.
And complex cards, for me, it's like, I'm trying to remember some of the other decks. It's like the OSHA or there's an Illuminati deck or something. There's so much on there. I'm like, I can't find one thing. But that's a personal thing. But absolutely no.
Yes, you're right, because this deck is based on tarot, astrology, and Kabbalah.
Gotcha.
And Illuminati is, it's in there.
Okay.
He was the founder of the OTO and the Golden Dawn Society and the whole nine yards. It's Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, so when I look at that card, it's like, first of all, it's extremely busy for me, knowing what I know of the devil to be, being trapped, chained in place. I see the people being freed up. There can be fear, which keeps you stuck where you are. So I'd love to hear what you have, because that's so foreign deck to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I first started to learn the deck, I got headaches. And it took years to integrate certain cards because they're so complex. But at the same time, I've been using them for almost 25 years and they never bore me. There's always a day when for some reason there's a little pattern over here. I'm like, I think I see something in there, But this one, definitely the phallic symbol is just huge. The goat, of course, anything that spirals is showing their connection to the divine or his power. There's a lot of that in this deck, like personal power versus God, in a sense. It's more him as magician, him as manifester. So I know, because of the history of Aleister Crowley, a lot of this was sort of dark and was manifesting things through things like sex rites and rituals.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So this is, the goat. I'd really have to restudy all of the stuff, but there's so much lore about the goat in mythology. The sign here on the card is Capricorn. So again, that's another one of my associations then, is like you're dealing with power and dominion. You're dealing with this wanting to climb up, like you said. You're dealing with the shadow side of like, who are my minions and who's in charge?
Yeah.
So for me, like, I always get a feeling that this devil is extremely powerful, even as a third eye, if you can see. Between his eyes, there's a third eye above him.
Okay.
So this is like... there's always something cosmic about Crowley's decks. There's always something like drawing down or understanding how to draw down the power of something and use it. And in this case, a lot of it is going to be using that core, strong sexual energy to manifest. And we know how that can lead to a lot of shadow.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
If it's used, it can be used for amazing feats like building pyramids, or it can be used very destructively. So that's where, for me, I always ask myself with the devil, who are we dealing with? Do they have a devil around them, or are they? But usually people who fit this card don't come for tarot readings today. So
Not often.
no. So like when you typically see the devil in somebody's reading, does it give you what kind of, like, what are your associations usually?
My first thing is fear. I'm like, what are you fearing? What has got you chained in place? What's holding you back from your greater potential? And the next card in the deck is the Tower. So it's like, we might have to, break some things down, but we're literally 2 cards away from the Star card. It's like, and hope, and the moon, and the sun, and we're done, so you're so close, to the end. And I almost, and this is literally Spirit just said this in my head. Sometimes I feel like we can get to the Temperance card, and if we can find that balance and flow, especially of the watery heart stuff and the passionate fire stuff, that, we're looking at love and passion, which can be, they can come together, but often passion can turn into lust, and love can turn into, like codependence. So if we get to the Temperance card, I cannot believe I'm talking about this, because the Temperance gate, when I started reading years ago, Temperance was the hardest card for me to get a hold of, and here I am now.
Oh, yeah, me too. That was one of the later ones to understand.
Yeah, I can never do it. And for me now, it's like if you can get to the Temperance card, I feel like, not that you can jump past the Devil Tower and stuff like that, but I think you can glide through them much easier for on that fool's journey, using this as the metaphor, to the next thing. If you find that balance, and if you are able to kind of live between, those two things very easily, then I think you can recognize where you are stuck, where you are fearful, and move past it. And, just think of any time that you or anybody, watching this, you've had that awakening, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible relationship. This is a horrible job. My family that I was born into doesn't get me, and you go, boom, boom, done. I'm moving on. And you just cut it dry, where, a week before you were like, I'm never going to be able to break free from this, where it's like, it's an awakening. And I think it'll make it easier to move through those things, getting to the star, then the moon, then the sun, and the judge.
Yeah.
And then boom, the world, and we start over with another lesson.
I find this deck particularly, because I haven't studied the Kabbalah. That would be a whole other thing. But
that's another thing that I thought I should study, and it didn't click.
But there's astrology, and that's probably a lot of why I picked it, because I started as an astrologer, and so to combine the tarot meaning and the astrology aspects adds something for it. And I've always found the deck very psychological. So it's led me to being very much psychological in the reading. So when I get to the Devil card, this is when we're usually having discussions about what is hidden.
I'm looking up another one.
People's hidden nature, people's hidden motives, and then usually they'll tell me about somebody around them or the corporate culture they're in, or the boss who's a narcissist, or the controlling partner or whatever. And then it leads us into all kinds of other tools to help people deal with, or strategies, to deal with those situations. And a lot of my sessions turn into coaching, but I love that about this deck. It's constantly like a sort of a Jungian experience to read the deck.
Have you, did you ever look into another tarot deck, but the Tarot of Dreams?
No.
And I'll show you why, because you
have the devil in that one too?
Here's the devil, but you can see.
Oh yeah, that's much more.
It has the Capricorn, and then the symbol, like each.
And it's got the inverted pentagram, which is the black magic.
So each card has the astrological connection to it, as well as the planet.
Let's see the devil one again, though.
Oh, I put it back.
Okay. Is that the one you said is Illuminati?
No, this is Tarot of Dreams.
Okay.
It's still very Rider-Waite.
Yeah.
But see the
It's
cage.
just interesting, right? Because even the way his front coat is open, it looks like his head and his chest look like a spear
Yeah,
going down into this inverted pentagram.
yeah,
It's so black magic-y, this one.
yeah.
And then this person's in a cage and they could leave, but they're not.
Yep. The
And
doors.
that's a whole huge thing, right? Like Stockholm syndrome and everything.
The door's wide open.
The door's open, but you're not leaving. Yep, just like a rat who won't leave after they've been, and very interesting. It's funny we got that first. Well, this is a good intro, a good tantalizing card to start off with, eh? So it looks like we're just going to be able to do one card in half an hour because we're getting into it.
I know. Unless you want to do it, I can go about 5.
So if you want to do a quickie, then I'll show you. I'll show you this one first.
Yeah, show me that, and you can, and then I'll. What?
The Three of Cups.
All right. You have to.
Can you see it where I'm holding it, or I need to be over here?
Right there. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So the Three of Cups is Mercury in Cancer, and it says abundance. And you can see that the cups even look like grapes, which are like a symbol of abundance. The flowers are full and lush. It's a fountain. Your water is illuminated, and then it goes into the bottom, and it makes all these rings, but the water's all clean and clear. And in this deck, I love that all the cups have different kinds of water, because even the nature metaphors, you can see if something's swampy. It tells you the state of the body or the fluids in the body. It tells you the state of the emotions. So in this one, it's abundant and creative and flowing, and it's often a card, right, of celebration or sometimes fertility. Sometimes your creative inspiration is just on, your social life is going great, So I wanted to leave it off on a happy card after the devil. And it's just pretty, it's just a beautiful, it looks like I'm at a wedding, and it's a beautiful wedding sculpture or something.
Yeah. And here's his Three of Cups.
Ah. Oh, wow. So she's like a musician or like an artist, gypsy dancer.
Yeah, she's definitely dancing. There's a big wave, and there looks like 2 kind of stringed instruments and maybe a flute or something.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, and expressing sensuality, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cups are interesting too, because I'm sure if I had them here, I could see things popping out at me from the cups. Like I see a face in the cups,
Yeah.
Yeah, do you?
Not so much the face, just there's little symbols and little stars, kind of like little sun, stuff like that.
See, that one definitely gives me more the feeling of getting your creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because it's sort of, cups can be love cards, and sometimes the Three of Cups in mine, it feels like a love card because it feels just like a little harmonious, symmetrical wedding sculpture, a party, or like a garden party or something. And this one is much more sort of like move, dance, do your thing, like freely express, let it flow.
And the traditional Rider-Waite is 3 women, banging up together, kind of like moving and circling and dancing. So I like his translation of it. It's nice. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's usually when that card comes up, it's almost always a smile on my face. Because it's almost like I don't have to work too hard to get the meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and if I add the astrology factor, how I'd interpret the card on top of what we're saying, Mercury in Cancer is a very impressionable. Their mind is in the past. They're sentimental. They're thoughtful. They're empathic and intuitive versus like verbal, like a Mercury in Gemini or Virgo or something. Right, so Mercury in Cancer, you're talking about like soft communication and I know what you mean, or nonverbal empathy or bonding. So it just adds that other layer of like tenderness to it, or how to communicate. So someone asks a question, Mercury in Cancer might be my answer too, as well as the Three of Cups. It's like speak gently, listen a lot, confide, open up, to create that safe space. So, yeah.
Oh, very good. Well, at least we got through 2 cards.
Well, it was fun.
Yeah,
it's really fun, and we'll definitely do this again.
I
agree. I hope everyone watching, I hope it helps you just see a different way of looking at your own cards.
Yeah,
Seeing your
yeah,
gut,
and
your own cards.
post. If you, I think I think once you just download this and put it on yours, you'll probably get people saying questions,
Yes.
because I know I will get an alert if somebody posts a message there. And I don't know if they can tag you or not.
Well, I'll download your video and I'll put it up on my
Okay,
channel,
cool.
and then and I'll put it up on Facebook, and we can just field the questions about these two cards that came up.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Well,
Yeah.
I am going to say thank you for joining me, Catherine. I truly
Yeah.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And you can see her website over there, and mine right down here. Check us out. Find us on our Facebooks, Instagram, Twitters, wherever we both are. And look forward to us again here. Make sure you subscribe to both of our YouTube channels. And if you click the like button, we appreciate it. If you click the notification, then when we do a live, you'll get the notification.
Yes, and if there's any other tarot readers out there and you would like to be on the show, I want to do this as an ongoing kind of talk series. So let us know if you want to debate and get in the action with a different deck.
Sounds good. All right.
Thanks, Rachel.
Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Have a good night.